Welcome to the Nehemiah Entrepreneurship Community Podcast. I'm your host, Patrice Tsague. I am here with Scott Cahill, a good friend. He's one of the founders of Fulcrum Partners, and we're going to learn more about this particular company and what it does. But first, this is part of our series of on job creation and job maintenance, and we're going to talk about business resilience in the midst of the pandemic. I mean, this company has been incredibly resilient in the midst of the pandemic. I know Scott personally, that not only has his business persisted, but what I've also noticed is that he is also persisted in his philanthropy. He may not serve on the board. That's how we got to know each other. And generosity. That is an incredible at a time where some are pulling back for fear of uncertainty. Others are pressing forward, not only in business, but also in generosity. And that is an awesome thing. So Scott, before we get into our talk, I want our audience to really know your story and your journey. First of all, Scott, I know that your family, you lost your father just recently. Our condolences.
Thank you. Thank you.
Scott, I didn't know your father personally, but I've heard he just was an amazing man. And so before we get into it, what was unique you feel about as you think about your father's inspiration? What do you draw from him? What was a key from him that you said, this from my dad has made me who I am today?
It's going to be tough. It's only been a week or so, but first, he loved the Lord. He loved our mom. He was incredibly honest and generous. So he lived a life that, I would be honored to live. So I would say that's it. And, when he was 30 years old, he packed up the car from Okmulgee, Oklahoma, and took 4 little kids to Honolulu, Hawaii, started an insurance company there. And after 4 years, it was successful. And he packed the 4 kids and mom up and flew us to Orlando, where we've been since 1967. But just what an entrepreneur and fearless man he was in business.
Wow. Scott, before I knew you, I knew your brother, Steve Cahill.
Yeah.
He's also an entrepreneur. So I guess it runs in the family. So Dad kind of passed that seed on to you and your brother.
Yes, we didn't know anything different, from the days of, 6th, 7th grade, pushing the mower up and down the street, seeing if I can do a lawn for $2.50, and for an extra $1, I'll do the edging as well, and throw in newspapers and just figure it out. How do you, earn an income and support yourself? So from an early age, I joke that I've never really had a job. So the 9-to-5 jobs. So.
Wow. Steve, Scott, sorry, your dad comes from a generation that those values, unfortunately, today are rare. A generation that not only believed in America, but served their families, their country, and did it for the good of others. If they were selfless. As you think about what his passing means to these losing values, as a father yourself, and you think about is there hope to bring back that sense of industry, that sense of tradition, that sense of selflessness? And then what's funny about his generation, whether they were overtly Christian or not, there was just a common thread among them. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I'd say one of those common threads was a work ethic. they didn't expect anything that they didn't earn. And I believe even today, I would put a work ethic over education, over sports, or anything. After working, in the inner city locally for 30 plus years with my wife, I just believe a work ethic is the core, the backbone of some of the things that we do, because working just gives us a self-fulfillment in any job. And I've, cleaned toilets, washed floors, gathered trash, all of these things. And every one of those, I used to, when I was at Kenny's shoe stores, I used to claim that we had the cleanest bathrooms in the mall. And I would get an extra hour or two a week just to clean the bathrooms because nobody wanted to do it. And we'd have people coming down the mall just to stop at Kenny's to use the bathroom. So just a work ethic, Patrice. That's my view.
Wow, I love it. Now, before I knew you, I knew your brother Steve, but then now I hear about your dad. So it looks like neither you nor your brother are the ones that made the name Cahill famous. It looks like you're senior. You guys just rolled off of senior's name.
That's right.
So growing up, as you're coming to adulthood, was there a sense of pressure that you had to live up to this name Cahill?
Not on my part. Maybe the next generation, where Steve and my kids, we also have another brother that's a successful builder, and a sister that was an entrepreneur as well until she left to be a full-time mom. So all four of us are entrepreneurs. But the pressure, I got out of school in '79, and I was a C plus. C minus, maybe D plus, whatever. There wasn't a lot of room, a lot of activity for guys like me. So I ended up going into a business that I knew nothing about, which was selling life insurance. So, but it's about the only thing available.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible. So Steve, you get into life insurance. Now, didn't know this until now that your dad sold insurance based on what you just shared earlier. So how much was it inspired by dad, or was this just opportunity and need? Talk to us a bit about that.
Okay. So when dad was a very successful insurance salesman, in between the time he was a traveling hardware salesman and the time he was asked to go to Hawaii and help take public a life insurance company in Honolulu. He did that very successfully. And so in my formative years, my elementary and junior high school years, dad would always be having insurance salesmen come to gatherings. And all I knew at that point was insurance salesmen all seemed to have a lot of fun and drive Cadillacs. And it wasn't until later that I realized that only a small subset, the most successful of them, got to hang out with the CEO, my dad. And so it was somewhat of a rude awakening to learn that not all insurance salesmen are happy and drive Cadillacs. So that's what I knew going into it.
And by that time, you were already hooked, I'm sure. So you get into insurance. Tell us a bit about from when the Fulcrum partners kind of come to being. How do you go from there, that early startup into insurance, to where you are now?
So 41 years ago, I got into the life insurance business, and I was selling over the kitchen table in the evenings, and I was terrible at it. But I really enjoyed math. Math is the only thing that got me through school, and the reason it got me through school is because it was fun. I liked it. So I was fortunate in maybe my 5th or 6th year to get involved in some business cases where the use of life insurance is totally different than it is in the family situation. There's institutional type products. And so I learned them extremely well. and got on product design committees and how to use the tax attributes, the favorable tax attributes of life insurance and other things for benefits, executive benefits. And so in '88, I left the firm that I started with and founded my own Cahill Inc. And then I was doing business as several other names. And in 2007, three of my partners and I left a large national consulting firm that was in the executive benefits business to found Fulcrum Partners. And the reason we did that is so that we could bring transparency and choice to our clients. We weren't in the large consulting firms or captive insurance firms. You were strongly encouraged and incentivized to place your business, all components of that business, with one carrier, with one where the consulting firm would make more money as opposed to first serving the client. So when we broke away, we changed a lot of things in our industry.
Wow, I love it. And I want to talk about those innovations in a minute, but let me kind of go back a little bit. I just love this story. So inspired by dad as an entrepreneur and really caught work ethics from him. And by the way, Scott, I too was a DC minus average student. I think there's a commonality among entrepreneurs.
I'll tell you one thing. This is a large restaurant company client, 80,000 employees, publicly traded, global presence. We were doing a consulting gig, and I brought in some people from a consulting firm that were expert in number crunching for something this guy needed. And so we were in the boardroom, and then we left, and he said, "Scott, stay back for a minute." And he closed the door, and he looked at me eyeball to eyeball and said, "Make sure what they bring back will be able to be understood by a C student." And then he got in his jet and went to California to play golf.
I love it. I love it. So you first work as an agent, going back to the work ethics, because one of the things that many entrepreneurs make the mistake of, or many wannabe entrepreneurs, they want to start big. They want to jump out, but you start working first, and then you kind of go start your own company. So let's talk about that transition a little bit, because there are many entrepreneurs watching and listening to us, Scott, and they kind of want to know, okay, so what made you decide to break out on your own? What was it that you couldn't get as an agent that you felt you needed to be your own company?
I've always felt that I have to serve the client first, not the insurance agency, not the consulting firm. It's not the way companies can work that way. But when we're serving clients, we have to serve the clients first. Everything else works out if we first serve the client. I didn't feel that I had that flexibility working anywhere else other than for myself, because everybody else wants to drive you down a certain line of business or product that benefits them first and then the client second.
I love it. The right motivation. One of the things, those of you watching and listening, as we teach in biblical entrepreneurship, is that the starting a business for the right reason is the beginning of success. And Scott was definitely probably motivated about serving the client. Then what I also like you share, your decision to now partner up with others and start the Fulcrum Group was now due to the fact that you felt it will facilitate this desire even more so. You mentioned that, Scott, but I want to talk to us a bit about it again. So which really reflects the values and the business model of Fulcrum Group. So tell us again about that. And by the way, you added, what does the word fulcrum mean? I know folks are listening to me and say, what does that word mean? And what does it have to do with insurance? Because please elaborate that for us.
Well, fulcrum essentially is the point of best leverage, or the center of activities, the direction, the point of where everything leads to. And that's what we wanted to be for the executive benefits for our clients. We want to be the quarterback of the team that leads into the design, the funding, the administration, the education, all of the things that we do that are value added to the products we sell. And so Fulcrum seemed to be that name, and the other founding partners and I just liked it and built on that. The reason we needed to get more and have some partners is we serve medium to large companies, and I'll define medium to large as maybe 500 million, or say 250 million to 3 billion is where my sweet spot is, both private and public. But we have some very large. We probably have a dozen Fortune 100 companies in our firm's portfolio of clients. So we needed a larger presence. And if it was just Scott Cahill and these plans that last for decades, I've had clients for almost 4 decades. We have to have that permanence and that deep bench. Right now in my office, I have 4 average age 40 to support my business when I exit slowly, and I'm trying to pour every bit of knowledge that I've gathered into them over the next few years so that I can exit gracefully. But first, make sure my clients are taken care of. Second, make sure my staff is taken care of. And if that happens, I'll be taken care of.
Ooh, I love it. I just love your other focused nature. I'm assuming that was a characteristic that your dad had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because I've seen that in your brother as well. I mean, it's just a family trait.
Well, Steve may have learned it from me as much as that. But
I love it. I'm sure. I love it. I'll make sure he'll watch this podcast too, so that he can. So you launched the Fulcrum Group. Now, what's interesting about that launch is you were innovative. Let's talk about innovation a bit, Scott. So you come from an insurance family, and then actually before we get to innovation, let's deal with insurance for a minute. Scott, what's the importance of insurance? I mean, because many entrepreneurs, some look at insurance as an expense item, but I'm sure for you, that's not how you want us to look at it. So why is insurance important as a business strategy, as well as essential for our success as business owners?
Well, insurance, it can be used strictly as a protection, and some of the insurances we deal with are, for example, disability income protection. That's just insurance. If you don't use it, you lose it. It's like automobile insurance. But in the early years, especially professionals, physicians, and executives, if they don't properly have disability insurance and they're for one reason or another unable to conduct their highly skilled in their highly skilled profession or their high pressured environment, then their income stops. And if they haven't had time to accumulate wealth, then all of that for naught. So it's a disability income is an insurance item that we want to have in place for executives, because group benefits usually run out at $10,000 or something like that. So then we have insurance which has favorable tax attributes, and we can use it for the informal funding of deferred compensation plans. And deferred compensation plans are essentially glorified 401ks that can only be used in the highly compensated arena. And so the choices are different types of mutual funds, ETFs, or you can also wrap those funds inside of institutionally priced insurance contracts. So, it's just a tax favored way to fund benefits for executives.
Wow. And so it's kind of your role. Do most clients, do they call you in when they have a specific need, or do you consult them around what type of insurance should they consider based upon the overall business strategy?
So we typically will consult. We start with a consulting engagement for the company. We do an enormous amount of data gathering, and then fact finding. What do you want? What do you need? And then we develop plans. We implement plans, and those plans will protect certain groups of employees. And then we oversee those plans. And so we meet with the clients on a regular basis, sometimes quarterly, sometimes semi-annually, sometimes only on an annual basis. But we monitor those plans. And as new insureds, new executives, or new physicians come into those plans, then we have staff or someone will go out and educate them on these plans and educate them and enroll them in the plan. So it's a constant source of business rather than just going out and selling one client one time and then hopefully they stick with you. So insurance is just the product that pays us for the most part. The things we do, the value we add is this client serving piece. And our clients, after they've been with us a while, they know that we scour the market every time we need a new product. We scour the market to find out which product works best because, at the deepest level, I don't believe it's wise for a producer like me to trust insurance companies to do the right thing for clients. I've just been around too long. So it's incumbent on me to protect the clients from insurance companies.
I love it. So in a sense, what you're also suggesting is that for many companies, it is better to go through a service like yours versus going direct to the companies because most entrepreneurs don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah, there's a lot of companies out there that would say fee only, and to some people that means cheaper. Let's cut the insurance agent out. In the products that we sell, we're almost always cheaper than going direct. Plus, you get us. So, that's a marketing strategy that cloaks the truth, if you will.
Wow. Why would the insurance company, they may not want you in between because you kind of share some light on some things and you help the client get better value. I guess I would have thought they would want you because you bring them business, but you also negotiate for your clients.
This is somewhat tongue in cheek, but there's a fair amount of truth to it. We're a necessary evil to insurance companies. We bring them business and then they treat us horribly. That wasn't always that way. 30, 40 years ago, starting in the business, we were partners and they treated the clients right. And when, for example, when mortality improved, they would actually go into existing products and reduce the costs in existing products. They don't do that. Hardly anybody does that anymore. What they do now is they'll say, okay, well, we're making money on this product, so let's just put it on the shelf. We'll come out with a new improved product. And I've had conversations with CEOs and actuaries and said, why don't you just keep the same product lines out there and take care of the client? And they said, well, it's more profitable to do it this way. And I say, I understand that, but my customers are going to leave and go somewhere else. And they said, yeah, but nobody else will. All right. So it's a calculated risk. We're going to lose people because we're not really serving them, but most people aren't going to find out. And how would they find out? If you have a captive insurance agent, they can't go replace business they once wrote. They can't do that. So independence is just something that we at Fulcrum just favor. We cherish that independence. So we're not aligned with any record keeper, any trust company, any insurance company, any mutual fund complex. We can go out, and as long as we understand what's available in the market, we can shop for our clients.
I love it. I love it. BB Ford says hello, Mr. Cahill.
I love BB.
Yes, yes. Again, I'm talking with Scott Cahill. We're talking about how to survive, even thrive during this pandemic season, the resilience in the midst of the pandemic. He has been resilient as an entrepreneur and as one who is committed to serving his community. We're going to get into that. But we kind of capturing his story. Let's talk about innovation. You said you guys wanted to innovate the space in the industry. How has Fulcrum brought innovation to the space?
Well, if we go back a number of years when we founded Fulcrum, as I mentioned, each of the folks that were in my business were in somewhat of a silo. And what that means is when we would develop a plan, we would use compensation consultants that were in our silo. We would use our own record keeping system. We would use one of 2 or 3 insurance companies that were paying to be on our platform. And that worked much of the time, but it didn't work all the time. And for those few clients that we needed to go outside and get a different record keeper, then we weren't allowed to do that. When we left Fulcrum, we went to all the TPA, third-party administrators out there, and said, we would like to establish arrangement with you. And as we get to know your system, there will be certain clients that we're going to be doing RFPs. There's always going to be a bid process, but we will bring the ones to you that fit, that you have the best fit with when it comes to services and deliverables. So we have everything from the internet-based record keeping only systems to the full service registered investment advisory and oversight fiduciary services. So we will match the record keeper with the trust company with the funding complex that best serves the client. And not every, well, let me say it differently. If you have a plan, if you've seen one deferred compensation plan that we've designed, you've seen one, because every one is tailored to the needs of the specific company that we are serving.
Wow. I love it.
So breaking that silo open, and right now we're pioneering an innovation to where it's not insurance based. It's more tax favored ETFs, because ETFs are so low cost. We're bringing full transparency and fiduciary type oversight to the non-qualified arena. That's not been done before, and we're in the process right now of putting one very large plan up, and it's all it is ETFs, and we're paid a fee for assets under management. There's no insurance involved, and it came together beautifully well, and the client loves it. The participants love it, but it's the first time that clear view of every component. It's like a Swiss watch where it's glass and you can see how it all works, as opposed to that opaque backside that was always on them.
I love it. You know, speaking of ETF, I'm on the trustee of the Timothy plan, and I got my shares of knowledge of ETFs recently in the last 2 years after we launched our own ETFs at Timothy, a real low cost fund.
And they're tax efficient.
Yeah,
very tax efficient. So
yeah. No, it's a powerful tool. Wow, that is incredible. Scott, many of our entrepreneurs that listen and watch our podcast are between startup to about $25 million. I mean, the numbers you gave for the folks you serve are way north of that. So, but speak to them for a little bit. So if some of them are watching, listening right now, and they say, "Wow, I'm not sure if I have insufficient insurance. I don't even know if I know I don't have it." What are some of the key basic insurance that you think that they would need? Start up to 25 million that you say, you know what, whatever you do, here's what you need to look into and why.
Yeah. Let me start off with saying there needs to be a plan first, and then insurance may or may not be the answer. But what we do is, let's just say you have a $25 million company and you have a founder who would like to keep it in the family, but that founder doesn't have children that are ready for the business yet, and he or she has some key people, CFO, head of HR, chief operating officer, folks like that, that they really need to keep. And a 401k won't just do that. So they can develop a plan on how to keep these people, that where a small portion of the profits each year will go into this plan and it'll grow. And when these people retire, then they will be able to retire very nicely, and it keeps them, it retains them and rewards them and puts glue in the seat for them. Those are very important so that you don't lose key talent at a time that would really cripple the business. So that's a plan. And then it may or may not be funded with insurance. It can be funded with a lot of different types of instruments. But oftentimes insurance is good because it provides the liquidity, 100% plus liquidity the first year, the types of products we sell. And it provides key person life insurance should that person be taken out by the proverbial Mack truck. That's some things. And then the disability income. You can provide small disability income benefits on top of the group insurance, because the group insurance covers 95% of the core population, but it typically is inadequate for executive coverage. And most people don't know that. So I talk about this as benefit restoration programs, and let's look at the gaps in retirement savings. Let's look at the gaps in each one of the insurances, and then develop a plan to address that for your key people. So it starts with a plan and planning, and then you backfit and retrofit the products to fit the need.
Oh, good advice. I love it. But so why would the idea you just proposed be better than, let's say, me just giving them stocks or an interest in the ownership?
I can't say that without more facts. I mean, sometimes that is the answer if you want to give shares. But some of the negatives of minority shares, minority ownership in a private company are that what happens? I mean, how do you get your money out? What if the companies go on a totally different way than you think it should? You have no say. I mean, you have 3% or 5% of a company where you disagree with the owner. So those are some things but oftentimes ownership is an answer. And in that case, there might just be some need for some key person term life insurance or something like that, so that if that person dies, you'll have the money to buy it back. Because if you give it at some point in time, or they earn it at some point in time, there will be a point in time where they want to exchange that for cash. So you might need a sinking fund and some other things, but I wouldn't discount equity or phantom equity as one way to retain and reward your key people, Patrice. That's always one of the options to look at in the planning.
I love it. It sounds like Mr. Cahill knows a bit of what he's talking about. So I suggest, I love that. So first one, get advice, get some consulting, and then through that process, plan. I like what he said there. And I like that emphasis, planning before product, right?
Absolutely.
Because the product may not be a fit, may not even need it.
That's right. The product's a commodity. And, commodities come in all forms. And I even look at insurance companies as commodities. There's a lot of them. And we have our choice. We just know how to select that commodity and design that commodity to fit the situation, to fit the client, to serve the client.
Wow, I love it. Again, I'm talking to Scott Cahill, one of the founding partners of Fulcrum Partners. They're an incredible company that's really brought some innovation into the space of insurance, particularly around benefits and succession and all sorts of things to help leaders and companies deal with continuation strategy and all kinds of fancy stuff. I want to get now into how you navigated COVID-19, the pandemic, the social, all that stuff happening. Before I do a little commercial, those who are watching and listening to us, we have a number of programs coming up that you want to pay attention to. If you go to our website, NehemiahEcommunity.com, NehemiahEcommunity.com, we have a number of events coming up. We have a number of training classes coming up, and some of the ones include, we have the Business Success Accelerator, the group coaching program that you can check out more information on our website at NehemiahEcommunity.com. Kenya, I've got a number of biblical entrepreneurship courses, from executive courses to the certificate course. We have Identity and Destiny classes coming up. You can check those out, both happening in Kenya as well as in North America. And then we also have a number of online certification. If you want to be a trainer or a certified coach, you want to learn how to train and certify and train others or coach others to build companies that are under Christ and that are using best business practices. You can also become a certified trainer coach with us. And of course, we have a number of seminars coming up that are free. You can go to our website and go to the events page and get more from there. And then, and of course, we'd love to have you be a part of our community and be a part of the wonderful resources we have to help you grow and develop your business. Scott, let's talk about this pandemic. So, obviously, even though you're an insurance guy, I'm sure you had no clue this was coming up, as many of us as entrepreneurs. So take us back a bit to Q1. The government announces about this pandemic. It's clear that the United States is going to be impacted by COVID-19. What's going on at Fulcrum Partners?
Well, fortunately, being in the financial services sector, we were considered essential in the state of Florida. Also, we have an office downtown. And so we bought all the support staff computers to work from home, and then gave them the option to work from home or come into the office. Each of the folks in the office have their own office, and we can, so everybody, other than when they needed to be home with their children or whatever, everybody chose to come in, and we keep our distance. There's no need for us to touch each other anyway, so that's never been an issue. We sanitize, clean, just be smart about it. And so we've been able to be here and serve our clients all the way through. We have some clients that are really hurting. We help them through. We have some clients that are thriving. We help them through. But the revenue, since we've built our model not on the typical high first-year commission, low renewal commission, we've built it on a more consistent, levelized compensation arrangement. Our income has not been significantly affected. Actually, it's stayed pretty same, if not a bit above. So we're extraordinarily grateful, fortunate, but that also has to do with the 40 years of history that we have in this business. So we've been grateful that we've been able to navigate it without having to incur just the hardships that so many Americans are. My heart goes out to so many of those folks.
Wow, I love it. What I heard you say is the business model that you adopted was one that really looked at the long term, which, unbeknownst to you, prepared you for handling this crisis from a cash flow standpoint. And it seems like with your model, it also positions you to be able to really super serve your customers at this time of need without it costing them extraordinary more, because it's kind of built into kind of how you do business. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah.
Wow. I love it. And then, so did you have to let go anybody in the end from a staffing standpoint?
No, and we're probably, we're a boutique company, and we're large in the area. We're large in a very small industry, if you will. So we're actually probably going to need to hire another person Q1 of next year, and so we haven't had to lay anybody off, or nobody's had to take less income.
Wow. So you were able to preserve your staff. You were able to also preserve them at their normal pay rates. And it looks like you'll be creating more jobs in the months to come. So I'm sure that whoever's president is going to be grateful to your company for helping with the economy and helping on not only job retention, but also job creation. So in the midst of the pandemic, Scott, one thing I noticed about you is that you kept serving not just your customer, but you stay consistent with your philanthropy and with your, both in terms of time, you are now serving on the board. I'm sure you serve on the board of many other organizations, but let's go back a little bit. Tell me a bit about this idea of philanthropy, generosity. Is it something that, because I know your brother Steve also is very generous. Is this something you both got from dad, or is it something you guys developed on your own along the way?
Dad, we all four of us got it from Dad and Mom. Mom, someone was asking me just the other day about Mom and does she manage money and all that. And I said, Mom's view of money is it's to be given away. I mean, she just doesn't have a big appreciation for what money can do for her personally. It's more she's she's the daughter of a Southern Baptist preacher when she grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. So she's always had an evangelistic heart and a generous heart, and Dad the same way.
Wow. So you guys kind of learned that from there. So the pandemic hits, and many people are pulling back on their support, but not you. You kept serving. So was that an intentional decision on your part, your wife both, or was it something that's just what you guys do? Was there a moment that you felt, let's slow down a little bit?
There's always, it's funny how greed works, Patrice, and you know this. The more we get and the bigger those dollars seem, it says, man, I'm giving away a lot, but we have to focus on what's our source. The Lord is our source of everything, and he only asks for a small amount. And yes, that thought does creep into it, especially on months where the income is lean. But we just developed a philosophy, Joni and I did, my wife Joni and I, on our company, 10% of gross revenues, whatever it is each month, I just have my financial person just write a check for 10% to our donor advised fund and National Christian Foundation. And it's not a question. In the very big months, sometimes she said, do you really want to do this? And I just laugh and I said, yes, these are especially the times we want to do it.
Wow, that is incredible.
It's a battle, Patrice, because our self-serving, the way we're built is, hey, it's mine. and God's saying, just trust me. Just trust me. I mean, it's nothing. It's a tremendous faith builder, because in the times where, we're looking over the cliff and we're getting scared, that's when faith comes in, and we do it regardless of what we think is going to happen, and just watch him intervene. He always does.
Wow. Amen to that. I've got two more questions for you, Scott. I want to try to get to. I do have a wild card question. I got to know your brother Steve at a time where he went through a tremendous crisis that he walked this with honor.
Yep.
Was going to cripple him essentially, and by God's grace, it came through. Have you ever had one of those incidents, or has yours always been an up and up?
Do you know anybody? I've had my valleys, but watching Steve and my younger brother Dave go through 08, 09, where the construction business in Central Florida, the music just stopped. And he had tens of millions of dollars worth of inventory, and nobody was going to pay anything near asking price and nowhere near cost. And he went through it with honor. And, if he went bankrupt, he was going to go bankrupt. Fortunately, he didn't. And you've seen the extraordinary success he and his team have had since, I guess, 2010, 11, 12, just remarkable.
A miracle story. As a matter of fact, I'm talking to you now. I'm going to try to, he doesn't like the camera, your brother. So I'm going to try to see if I can twist his arm to have him here talk about that story. It's the miracle story. And was it tough for you as a brother seeing your brothers go through that kind of stuff?
Oh, heck yeah. And Patrice, there's more stories, because Dad at the time was a developer, and the entire family, we invested in this development company that Dad ran, and he was very successful. We had 5 developments in 2005 and 2006. People were paying crazy money for land, and we usually Dad would take this land, buy it raw, get it zoned, put in the infrastructure, and the infrastructure was very, very expensive. And so before we got into the infrastructure phase, all 5 of those developments, Dad was made offers, and instead of being greedy and holding out for just a little more, he sold them all. The family could have been bankrupt had we not done that and said, we want to make just a little bit more. But Dad was so disciplined in his investment philosophy and his business philosophy that it just worked out very well. But watching that had all sold, and then watching Steve and Dave just go through the valley was just very, very difficult. And you always want to help them. And Steve had a number of folks who would have been pleased to help him, and he would have taken it if he needed it. But he was able to navigate through it all.
Wow! What
the Lord's provision.
I'm sorry.
Just with the Lord's provision, he navigated through it all. Both of them did. Very
awesomely faithful.
Yeah.
So the question for you, Scott, you talked about succession, and I'm not sure if my audience really caught it. You kind of laid out a framework for your own succession journey. And here at Nehemiah Project, we're very high on startup to succession, right? And you kind of snuck in there kind of your philosophy and how you're building your company and how you've laid it out already in terms of how. So let's close with that a bit. So remind us again. So it looks like you've got a built-in, it's kind of what you teach your clients to do. You already got your own built-in framework for venture exit out of the Fulcrum Group. So first, tell us a bit about kind of how you see Scott exiting when that time comes, because our entrepreneurs are listening and watching, and they want to glean from that. And second, is it something you did because you are in the industry, or is it something that was just an acumen that was a part of what you learned from dad or part of your business acumen. Talk to me about that.
I've seen it done poorly so often over the years, and especially in my industry. Nobody wants to pay people to come in and learn the business because it takes money from what they could be earning. But the reality is the clients are the value. And if you take care of the client and assure the client that there's going to be someone to take care of the next 4 or 5 CEOs, like I was able to do, honored to do, then that just builds a tremendous degree of loyalty. And quite frankly, they can use the income that they will earn from the clients that I turn over to buy me out. And I will be ahead, they will be ahead, but first and foremost, the clients will be well served. So we do that. We share succession, buy and sell agreements and things like that with our clients, and we do it for ourselves. And I'm just thrilled with the opportunities that the folks are going to have. And so I expect probably 3 years is when I will intentionally bow out and spend more time with Joni and whatever things the Lord has for us.
Wow. What an awesome thing. Again, Scott Cahill, business resilience in midst of a pandemic, not only preserving job, but also he's looking to hire Q1 of next year. Talked about him beginning with learning from dad in terms of just his entrepreneurial spirit, his work ethics, his faith, becoming an agent himself, and then starting Cahill Incorporated, his own shop, his own insurance company. And then due to his desire to innovate, he starts along with others, the Fulcrum Partners, where they bring some innovation to this particular space. And then and the rest is history. Scott, obviously you've not done all this by yourself. You've had Joni there alongside with you. How important has it been, that partnership along the journey of your career?
My career wouldn't have happened had it not been for Joni, and just, wanting to please her and knowing that the boys were always taken care of. And if I had to go away on trips or stay late, all those things, she never complained, never. And I always had extreme confidence that everything was being taken care of well. So, without Joni, it wouldn't have happened.
Wow. And wouldn't you agree, that's that peace of mind of an entrepreneur, knowing that home is taken care of.
Yeah.
I mean, that's golden, isn't it?
It is priceless. Yeah.
Yeah. But then, Steve, you are in things like insurance, construction. These are industries that are not always known for faithful men, and particularly as you get successful. So what's been the key for you to make sure that as you guys grew, that you held on to the things that dad taught you in terms of character, faith, and so forth?
Well, it's, again, watching, how my dad loved my mom,
Wow. I love it. Simple answers. Find the model. But Steve, your children, and we'll close with that now, ask your closing thoughts. Are they going to continue the legacy, or does entrepreneurship stops with you?
I have two sons, 36 and 38, and both are entrepreneurs. And one has been in the franchise business, and now he's starting a fiduciary services company. Then the 36-year-old, after 10 years as a currency trader in New York and surrounding areas, he came home and he has a private equity fund and a couple of portfolio companies that he's running as well.
Oh my goodness. Scott, there's a term in the street that say they don't die, they just multiply. I mean, there's this, the Cahill legacy, you must be proud of them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I'm
It's,
sure
it's
Dad,
fun. It's fun. It's all we know, Patrice.
yeah, yeah. And Dad must have, I mean, how old was your dad when he passed?
He was 88. He would have been 89 December 18th.
Wow. I mean, it's sad to lose a father, obviously, but lived a long life and seeing his children and his grandchildren. The Bible says that the righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. Um, how much gratitude did he feel in his heart um, as he's seen his children and his grandchildren go on to do what you guys have done?
You know, uh, he was just always very supportive, and you know, he would tell us how proud he is. So,
Wow, awesome. Will mom be okay?
um, she's very strong. She'll get through it. Um, from a worldly perspective, everything's fine. Dad planned everything down to, uh, he made it so simple. Steve and Dave, my brothers, were in the office. My dad has the office right next door here. And we were in there yesterday and we were just laughing at how organized and how much he planned for this time. Um, yeah, so we're all going to be just fine. And it's just, you know, it's hard going through it. It's part of everything that we all have to go through, but we're also very grateful for the time we had.
Amen. You know, Scott, it's amazing. So your dad kept going to the office even past 80 years old.
Yeah.
That is incredible. What a legacy. The America that have made us all what we are today, and the America that we hope not to lose. Steve, I keep calling Scott Steve because his brother's name is Steve, and so him and his brother now work very well together. But Scott, you keep reminding me that you're the better looking one, so I shouldn't confuse you guys when I
Well, you know, Steve does appreciate the compliment, and so I don't interrupt.
I love it. I love it. So, Scott, as we wrap up here, first of all, thank you so much for your time. Our condolences to your family. There are many people watching and listening from around the world, and they've faced a pandemic in the United States, social unrest. We have a political uncertainty in the air. Both parties promise the end of America as we know if the other one wins. So people are pretty scared. What would have encouragement would you leave entrepreneurs today to help them as to be resilient as you've been?
I'll tell you a quick story. One time through the Luis Palau Association, we were asked, two other entrepreneurs that are supporters of the Palau Association, and I were asked to meet with one of the secretaries from China. And this was at a festival in DC. And China was so interested in why so many entrepreneurs voted for Bush, and this was when Bush 2 was elected, and why did we do that? And I said, you know, my view is that as an entrepreneur, we don't have someone protecting us like any other company where there's a CEO and the CEO is responsible for the people. We don't have anybody. So every night, every week before payroll, we get on our knees and pray to God that we'll have enough to take care of our people. And so as an entrepreneur, we must rely on the Lord. And if we do believe his promises, that are laid out very, very well in your project, Nehemiah Project, if we do believe those, then we can have complete confidence and faith, even through the bad times. And the rest of the world just doesn't quite understand that. So we have such a blessed opportunity in America and other parts of the world that are starting to sprinkle the seeds of opportunity, and people are able to grasp them. Just focus on the Lord and let him lead us through. He always, always does.
Wow. You know, spoken from an entrepreneur who God has blessed and who recognized the source of those blessings. Wow, Scott, thank you so much, man, for those words and for those words of encouragement. Listen, I hope you enjoyed our podcast. If you have, do me a favor, share it. This story needs to be shared. A story of a not just second generation, but third generation. He talked about his children and what they're doing now. A father whose life was worth it because he laid a foundation that the Cahill name will not die on earth, but will continue to stand for Christ and create jobs for our nation and represent what is good about America. So share this podcast, share on your Facebook, on your Twitter, share with others to encourage them that they might be inspired by Scott's story. And if you're looking for a company to serve your company, go to this website. Put that website up, please, team. www. If you want to know more about Scott Cahill and his company, go to www.fulcrumpartnersllc.com. fulcrumpartnersllc.com. There you learn more about Steve's company, what they do, and how they come alongside companies like yours and serve in the many areas of insurance, including matters of succession. With that said, I'm going to pray for you. Don't leave yet. Before I do, if you want more information about the Nehemiah Project, how we can come alongside you and serve you to becoming an entrepreneur, what we call a biblical entrepreneur, an entrepreneur that builds their business based on kingdom principles, visit our website, nehemiahecommunity.com, nehemiahecommunity.com. There you'll learn about our training program, how you can take these classes and these seminars and learn how you too can, like Scott, build your own business or enhance an existing business. You'll also learn about our coaching program, where we can come alongside you, whether it's our group coaching or individual coaching, and help you come alongside and coach you around building a successful kingdom company, or our access to capital, how we can come alongside you. And if you need capital to grow your business, we have kingdom investors who look forward to providing capital to business like yours, that are able to produce a quadruple bottom line with it. And then, of course, you can also learn about our business support services, whether it's graphics design, website, technology. Our team are there to come alongside and help you with your business. And last but not least, you can also learn about being a part of our community. We are building one of the fastest growing Christian business community in the world. And so you can join thousands of us as we're coming together to transform the world. With that said, let me pray for you. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord enable you to steward those talents that are under your care. Like Scott, to steward them in such a way that one day you'll hear those wonderful words. Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. He'll now make you rule over much. God bless you. Scott, thank you again, sir. You have to come back.
God bless, Patrice.